Linear Equations, Part 7. The saga continues. In today's lesson, students will write linear equations when given slope and one coordinate point. But this time, the slope is going to be a fraction. The slope is going to be a what? Very good. Now, what happens when you're given in a word problem the slope and one coordinate point, but the slope is now a fraction? What kind of number is this? A fraction. This is called the numerator. What is it called? And this is called the denominator. So we also know this as rise over run. Very good. So we still have to identify three variables. How many variables do we identify? 3. So the slope is a fraction. What do we call this fraction here? Everyone, let's read number 1 together on your paper. It says, what is the equation of a line with a slope of 1/3 that passes through the point 3, 2? So we call this fraction 1/3. And 1/3 is your mama, okay? So this is 1/3. And then when we look at the coordinate point, what is x? X is 3. And y is 2. So in order to write an equation for this line, we have to continue to follow the steps. The first step is going to be the same. It's always plug in m. So we're going to plug in m into the equation. What is the equation? Yo mama's ex-boyfriend. Y equals mx plus b. Read the equation with me. Y equals mx plus b. So the first step is to plug in m. So when you plug in m, you say y equals, what's the slope again? It's a fraction. It's 1/3 times x plus b. Okay. Everybody remember the second step. Read it with me. It is plug in x and y. So we look for y because y comes first in yo mama. So that's going to be, what's y? It's 2. So you say 2 equals, what's the slope again? It's a fraction. It's 1/3. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit different because you're going to wonder where to put the number, where to put x. Well, x, okay, x is 3. What I want you to do is in parentheses, I want you to put it at the top. So as if it's a numerator, because this is really 3/1, okay? So you have to put it at the top, okay? Where do you put it? You multiply it by the top number, and then you add b. So in the next step, which is solve for b, you have to multiply a fraction by a whole number, but you are in luck, because if the same number is in the numerator at the top, and you're multiplying it by the same denominator, okay? What they do is they cross cancel. This is really 3 divided by 3, okay? So if there's a 3 at the top and a 3 at the bottom, the same number, you can cross them out. So watch. Okay, you're going to solve for b. Say 2 equals. Again, is there a 3 at the top? Is there a 3 at the bottom? Well, you could cross them out. But what's left? What's left? 1, okay? So you're going to say 2 equals 1 plus b, okay? And now this becomes very easy to solve for b. So you're going to draw a T-bone steak. You look at the number that's being added to b. What's the opposite of 1? -1. That's right. So subtract 1 from both sides. +1 and -1 make 0. Bring down the b, and b equals 2. Take away 1. What's 2 take away 1? Come on, Danny, give it to me. Oh, it's 1. Good job. Okay, so if b equals 1, and you know what the slope is. The slope is a fraction. Remember what it is? It is 1/3. Now you can go ahead and graph your line. So check it out. We identified 2 things to graph a linear equation. Oh, but first we have to write what it is. Okay. So the last step, which is step number 4, I didn't write step number 4, that's why I got confused, is, read it with me, plug in B and M. All right, so we say Yo Mama's ex-boyfriend, so y equals, what's M again? It's 1/3. So y equals 1/3 x, and then plug in B. What's B? B is, y equals 1/3 x, and then B is 1. That's right. So that's your equation. Your equation is y equals, the slope is 1/3, then we say times x plus b, and b is 1. All right. So we have to say to ourselves, well, Yo Mama is 1/3. Or, okay, positive 1 over positive 3 is the same as negative 1 over negative 3. And then your b is 1. Okay, so now let's graph this line. So we're going to start with your boyfriend. Actually, it's your mama's boyfriend. On the y-axis. Which axis? The y-axis. Show me with your hands. This is the y-axis. That's where you start. And then you start at positive 1. Okay. From positive 1, you can either go up 3 over 1 or down, up 1 over 3 or down 1 over, in the negative direction, 3. So let's do the positive 1, up 1, and then over 3. 1, 2, 3. Put your dot right there. Okay. So that should be at 3, positive 2. Oh, and take a look. 3, 2. Okay. Or you go down 1. Okay, if you're going negative 1, you're going to go down 1. And in the negative direction, negative to the left, 3. So you say down 1, so you're on the x-axis. Down 1 over 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? And what you do is you connect the dots. Okay, and there is your line. And again, this is positive slope, so this slope is going up in the positive direction. Let's do number 2, okay? Because this is an example of a slope that has a negative fraction, okay? Let's read this negative fraction together. It says negative 3/4. Negative what? Okay, so let's read it together. It says, what is the equation of a line with a slope of negative 3/4 that passes through the point 4, negative 5? So we identify the slope, the what? Slope. We identify x, and we identify y. Okay? So the slope, which is Yo Mama, is negative 3/4. We've already talked about that. Okay? Then you have x. What is x? X is 4. And what is y? Y is negative 5. All right. So now that we have our 3 variables, we can use Yo Mama's ex-boyfriend to solve or to write a linear equation. Okay? The first step is plug in M. So when we plug in M, remember, M is what kind of a number? It's a fraction. So we say M is negative 3/4, okay, times x. And remember, x is going to be at the top, plus b. All right. The next step, number 2, is to plug in x and y. So we're going to plug in x and y. Y we look at first. What is y? Oops. Y is negative 5. That's right. So we say negative 5 equals, the slope is negative 3/4, and you're going to multiply it by x, but you're going to multiply it at the top of the fraction. Where? At the top of the fraction. So we're going to multiply this by 4. Now what do you notice again? The same number is at the top of the fraction as the bottom of the fraction, because you're really saying 3/4 times 4. When you have the same number in the numerator and the denominator, and these two numbers are being multiplied, what can you do? Does anybody remember? You can cross them out, because this is saying 4 divided by 4, which is 1. So the 4's go away, okay? When you solve for b, which is the next step, you're going to solve for b. Okay, so you have negative 5 equals. Again, if you have 3/4 times 4, these numbers are the same. Are they the same? So they can cross cancel because that's 4 divided by 4. But you are left with the top number, okay, which is -3, okay? And then you're going to add b. So now you could solve for b if you make a T-bone steak. What is the opposite of -3? +3. Very good. All right. So -3 and +3 make 0. Bring down your b. And b equals, let's see, -5 and +3. Oh, it's been a long time, hasn't it? Are they the same signs or different signs? Think about it. Different signs, subtract, right? So what's 5 take away 3? It's 2. And what's the sign of the bigger number? It is negative, so it's -2. So b equals -2. So now we can write the linear equation. We can write the y equals mx plus b, right? Your mama's ex-boyfriend, but we have to plug in two things. We have to plug in b and m. So we say y equals, what is m? That comes first. It is -3/4 times x plus, now will it be plus? Because look what b is. B is what? Okay. B is -2, right? So it's not going to be plus b anymore because that's negative. It's going to be -2. All right, so there's your equation. I'm going to go ahead and write it again. The equation is y equals -3, let me write it in red, -3/4 x times x -2. Okay, so now we're going to graph a line. So we look at the slope. What is the slope? The slope is -3/4. Or, okay, when you have one negative, you could actually put that negative at the bottom. So it could be 3/-4. Just make sure you have one negative on each side. Make sure you have what? One negative on each side. Okay? And then the y-intercept, or b, is -2. Very good. So we start with your mama's boyfriend on the y-axis. Which axis? The y-axis. And we start at -2. -2 is going to go down until you find -2. Then you're going to use the slope to graph. You're going to use your mama to graph the rest of the points. So you have -3/4. So let me move this down. So it means you're going to have to go down 3, 1, 2, 3. But then you're going to have to go in the positive direction 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you're at 4, -5. That's the point that we have right here. Or you could go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and in the negative direction 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So make sure you have these points. You should be at 0, -2, 4, -5, and -4, 1. And then you can connect the dots to make a line. And that is how to create linear equations using slope at one point when the slope is a fraction.